Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's best standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go. I see you. And let's dive into today's best standard. Hello everyone, and welcome. My name is Sarah McCarthy, and I'm super excited that you're joining me on this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, I know that you're busy, so I want to jump right into this. Today we are breaking down the following standard. It's MA.3.AR.3.3. MA, that stands for Mathematics, 3 for 3rd grade, AR for Algebraic Reasoning, and 3.3 is our standard for today. And it says that we will identify, create, and extend numerical patterns. Identify, that means to go, hey, look, there's a pattern. Creating a pattern using a rule, and extending means that if we're given a pattern, we can keep it going. We can extend it going on and on. So this example right here, if you take a look at it, it is a great real-world application. It says that Bailey collects 6 baseball cards every day. This generates the pattern 6, 12, 18, and so on. How many baseball cards will Bailey have at the end of the 6th day? So I love the real-world application here, which is awesome. And by the way, this document that I'm marking up all over is provided by the Florida Department of Education. They create this where they break down the standards and they make it available to the public. And all I'm doing is showing you how I use the resources that they provide to analyze the standards in order to create the resources for you with taking on the B.E.S.T, which I will definitely show you what you have access to with your membership pertaining to this standard right here. We need to be using ordinal numbers like these right here, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and we'll describe those as terms. They could involve any of the 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Some connecting benchmarks that we need to keep in mind are the multiplication and division number sense and operations benchmarks that will help with this. In kindergarten, way back in kindergarten, they learned about the ordinal numbers, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and so on and so on. And in 4th grade, they will kick it up a notch with patterns, some more patterns, a little bit more of a challenge in 4th grade. Okay, for the purpose and instructional strategies section, says that we will identify, create, and extend numerical patterns using all 4 operations. Identifying means that when a pattern exists in a sequence of numbers, the students will be able to determine that a pattern exists and potentially determine a rule that can be used to find each term in the sequence. Creating means that students will be able to write a pattern given a rule and a starting value. And extending means that a student will be able to identify a future term in a sequence. So just some definitions for you there. I love this section here because they're talking about where someone might come up with a rule of add 6. Another person might say, well, what about the rule add 7, then subtract 1? And I was saying that these would be great for number talks when you see a pattern to list a few different examples for it, which we do in taking on the B.E.S.T. We need to keep in mind that our instruction should be limited to whole numbers and operations that are appropriate for 3rd grade. So that means it would not really be good to say, okay, what's the next term in this pattern where we're multiplying by 5, because multiplying 125 times 5 is not 3rd grade appropriate. So just keeping in mind where they should be in 3rd grade. Here I put that they had a great point listed here with the common misconceptions and errors that students can confuse a term's number and its value in a sequence. For example, in the pattern 6, 12, 18, students can struggle to understand that even though 12 is the second term, 6 is being added to find the value of the third term. So really, just this statement right here, encourage students to use precise vocabulary, talking about terms, talking about values, starting points, and so on and so on. I would definitely suggest take a look at this right here for some extra strategies. And the instructional tasks and items right here show what this standard looks like in action. So for instance, what are the fourth and fifth? This would be extending a pattern of the sequence below if it follows the rule subtract 4. So this is the kind of question that you would be seeing here. Okay, so you can take a look at those. And with that said, let's take a look at what you have access to with your membership. So we're here on the home page of McCarthy Math Academy. You can click Members Enter here. Make sure that you're signed in and click Taking on the Best. If you are signed in, it'll go right here. If not, it will just ask you to input it. We are in 3rd grade, working on the AR strands, and scrolling all the way to the bottom for Identify, Create, and Extend Patterns 3.AR.3.3. All right, these are your bronze resources. And I think we have 3 videos. Yep. In the first video, we practiced identifying patterns. That was one of the pieces of the standard. The next piece was to create patterns, and the third piece was to extend patterns. So these are the printable pages that go along with the video lesson. You know it's a video because it has that video icon. And in this one, we explore what are 2 possible rules for this pattern for the first 2 questions at least. So remember that question where it said the rule is add 6, but somebody else might say, well, the rule could be add 7, subtract 1, which really lends itself to adding 6, right? So those are your bronze resources. For your silver resources, if you have the silver or the gold plan, you have access to the silver resources. You have your math misconception mystery video right here, your printables, and your answer keys. So let's click on printables to see what you have access to. Again, you know it's a video because of that video icon. Then we have extra practice. Here we're creating a pattern. So create a pattern with 5 terms that starts at 500 and has a rule of subtract 49. And there's some other examples too. You can see here we have a pattern of subtract, divide, and add. So really trying to mix up the operations that we're using. Here we have another video lesson with extending patterns. So what are the next 3 terms in the pattern? What are the next 4 terms in the pattern? What's the next term in the pattern? And you'll see that followed by explain how you know. So we do a lot of justification in these video lessons. And then for extra practice, something similar. Then you come to your math mission, which is a math task. For this math mission, it has 2 parts. The first part says, Jose reads 10 pages a day. How many pages will he have read by the 12th day? Explain your thinking. Part 2. Katie reads 11 pages a day. How many more pages will Katie read after 12 days compared to Jose? So you can see here we really are taking it up a notch. We're using patterns, but we're also involving a subtraction question with this. So combining with another standard in a real world setting. This is your math misconception mystery question. So all you got to do is click play. And then I walk you through the whole process here. First, you'll have your students solve this problem either independently or with a small group. Then they will watch as 4 characters solve that same problem. Those characters are just me dressed up in silly costumes, and 3 of those characters make a mistake. Only 1 of them is correct. After they watch the video with all the characters, they will answer their detective diary. So who had the correct answer and why? And let's evaluate the other characters right here. And the answer, my detective report, is also in the answer keys right there too. So these are super fun. Now let's check out the goal plan. So if you have access to the gold plan, it will open up this page. If you don't, it will just say that you don't have access to it, but you can go back to your bronze and silver resources at any time. The main benefits of having the gold plan are the mini assessment and McCarthy Math 155 for the mini assessment. So we have some practice here with different question types. It's usually about 4 to 5 questions for these mini assessments. You can use them as a mini assessment, you can use them as a practice assessment, you can use them as just a review, however you want to use it is cool. You have one cool perk about having the gold plan is that you get these episodes ad-free of Breaking Down the Best right here along, like right there with the resources. So you're right where you need to be. And you also have access to McCarthy Math 155, and the 155 stands for 155 video lessons that are aligned to the Common Core standards, so our past standards. While this is not aligned to the new standards, the BEST standards, there are a lot of skill videos that you can use here with your students. So if we go down, you can see all the units that are involved for extra practice, right? Okay, and it tells you underneath how many video lessons there are under each unit. And right here we talk about patterns. So there are some videos here that deal with more patterns. They're just not specific to, let me see if there's anything. Yeah, they're just not specific to the patterns that we are working with in the BEST standards. But there's a lot that you still could use. So if you have 155, take a look at that and see how it can support you. I think that's it for this standard, but before we go, I just want to remind you that what you choose to do with your life every day, it really does matter. Thank you for bringing your best every day for your students, because your students are watching and more is caught than taught. So by you stepping up and giving your best, you are leading them to become the best version of themselves. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for inviting me into your classroom and into your educational world. I do not take that lightly. I'm so grateful for that. And with that said, I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now. Bye.